Hey guys, it's Jeremy again. We're going to do another lap guide video. Today we're at the Hungaroring, driving the Chevrolet Corvette Z06 GT3R. We're in the fixed setup. I didn't touch the brake bias at all. We're still at 55.1. Feels really good around here. It's a nice way to get the weight kind of rocked onto the front end and liven up the rear end on corner entry. This track isn't really frequented by GT cars too much. It's more of an open wheel, high downforce kind of track. That being said, these GT cars are a lot of fun around here. It's really technical. It relies a lot on the mechanical grip that the car can offer and how comfortable you are with sliding the car around a little bit. We're going to run this lap guide video the same way we did in the past. We're just going to run it at speed, and then I will break down the lap for you. Try and point out some key areas, some things you're going to want to focus on. I was able to pull off a 1 minute 42.304, I think it was. It's a pretty good lap around here. Once you get the hang of trail braking and really carrying that momentum into some of the corners around here, the lap time just kind of falls away. It's not as daunting as it seems. It's just kind of how we're going about it. Without further ado, we're just going to run it. And across the line. So as you can see, we're able to do a 142.304 it was. It's not a bad lap around here. There are some key moments that really kind of pull the lap together. Um, just some areas to really focus on. The straight, obviously, is pretty straightforward. You're just going to keep the car down the left-hand side of the road here. I look for the 100-meter board. You can see I let off just a little bit before there. There's a little bit of overlap here. Don't kill me for it. Braking just before the 100-meter board. Nice, hard, deliberate braking. And then you're going to want to trail off. As soon as you can get that car kind of slowed down for your initial braking, you can see that I'm working the brakes down slower and slower. Nice, deliberate downshifts. Come down into second, and we're looking to just kind of wrap the car around this apex. The later you can turn in, the better, because the goal is to get a nice, good acceleration down towards turn 2. You can see we've got a little straight here. It's a decent amount of room to work with, and it's downhill, so the more speed you can get through there, the better. It also helps with how much speed you're able to carry through turn 2. This track is an interesting one. Every corner kind of ties into the next one. This exit, you can use a good amount of this runoff area. We just came from Masano, which is the land of like no off tracks really. You can drive all over the place off the road. Hungary is not the same. You get penalized pretty badly here for off tracks. I found that you can, as long as you keep your inside tires still on some portion of the track, or at least these candy cane stripes, the curbing, you won't pick up an off track, but it is very risky. Uh, I've found come race time, it's better to err on the side of caution and not push it as much on your exits. You can see we let the car walk out pretty far here, but not all the way to the off track. And then you don't need to hold these gears all the way to the red line on the downhill. It is a slight downhill, so you can let the car's momentum kind of help it on the upshifts. I start braking here usually at about the beginning of this curbing, and it's a nice deliberate brake at the beginning just because this corner is downhill and off camber, and so if you do carry too much speed into the beginning section of it, it's really hard to get it back, and because of the way the road is shaped, the car naturally just kind of wants to slide out and spin on you. But once you can tell that you've got the car slowed down enough to the point where you can work it and roll its momentum through the corner, that's what you want to do. We're just kind of rolling the momentum as far as we can into the corner. And you can see I'm already back on the throttle here, and we're nowhere near the exit. At this point, it's a matter of understanding that getting on the throttle here is going to cause the car to want to spin a little bit, which is why I don't go full throttle. You can see I kind of plateau at this point, and I'm just working that rotation with the throttle, and as soon as I can see my line out of the corner, we're giving it everything it's got. You want to work the car as far over to the left as you can. Try not to run too far out to the right here, just because it really compromises your run through this right-hander, and you're prone to picking up an off track either on the inside or on the outside here, coming out of the corner. Work it all the way over to the left, and as soon as we get to the left side of the road, we start turning back to the right. You can chop a decent amount of this curb here. You can see I keep the left side of the car still on the track. We're not trying to pick up any off tracks here. You only get 11 to play with during the race, and they will add up. This runoff area is similar as long as you keep your right side tires either on the candy cane curbing or the track. You're usually pretty safe. And then this little run up to this left-hander is hairy. There's a off track on the inside and there's an off track on the outside. You got to kind of thread the needle here, and we're not going slow. I just kind of dab on the brakes, get it down into fourth, and then we're kind of coaxing it through this corner, still on the brakes a little bit, and as soon as I can tell that we're going to make it, we're back on the throttle. You don't want to drag your left side tires off of this curbing or too far onto the curbing for that matter. You'll get an off track for it. So you want to try and play it safe, but you do need to carry a lot of momentum through this section. And then we work the car back over to the left-hand side of the road. This is an uphill corner, so you don't need to brake too much. The road will slow the car down for you a little bit, and it helps catch the car. If you do start to spin or slide, it's a lot easier to recover it going into this corner. That being said, you don't want to carry too much speed. Any kind of correction is going to pull you offline and leave you as a sitting duck for the cars behind. Nice and deliberate into this corner. We're keeping it nice and tight through here just because the Corvette rotates so well on exit when I give it power. Depending on the car you're in, you might need to take a wider line on entry to be able to give you the run out of the corner that I'm able to get in the Corvette. You can see we're already giving it a lot of throttle at this point. We're still pretty early in the corner, all things considered, and we're at full throttle. Just walking it out towards this exit. You can see I opened up the steering a little bit there because the back end was starting to loosen up on me. But you can use all of this kind of gray concrete out here is still good racetrack. It's grippy. Just don't let the car run out too wide and you'll be fine. And then this chicane is a tricky one. I found that slowing down more for the first section and then kind of powering out of the chicane is the quicker route instead of trying to carry momentum through there. Again, that could be car dependent. I feel like the BMWs and the Porsche will probably be strong through here just because they handle the bumps so well. The Corvette gets really unsettled, and so I have to give the curbs quite a bit of respect. I dropped down to third, and we're looking for a late turn in here. You can chop a decent amount of this apex off, but you want to keep your left side tires kind of on the track or at least on that curbing. And then as soon as I'm through there and I can tell that the nose is going to get around this orange curb, we're hooking it back over to the left and we're hard on the throttle. We were on the throttle here. So as soon as we're coming through the right-hander, we're back on the throttle, and then we're full throttle, a little bit of a lift just to be safe over that curbing, um, and then right back to full throttle. You can see the lift wasn't very much of one. It's just a safety lift to make sure that you don't kick up too much going over that curb, and you don't have much runoff to work with out here on the exit. It's really easy to pick up an off track here, and it's kind of a silly off track because it's such a slow portion of the track. We're working our way into the S's. This is an amazing rhythm section. It isn't like the S's at Suzuka or Silverstone or any of your like typical S sections. This is kind of an on-off S rhythm. Some of the corners tighten up, some of them are opening up. It's a lot of fun to work through. I guide the car through here on the brakes, but we're not asking too much of it. We're just kind of making sure we can keep the car over to the left-hand side on exit. Hard on the throttle because you need to maximize your short little runs through these turns so you can build that momentum back up in case you scrubbed off too much. And then we're easing onto the brakes here just to get the car to kind of slide its way around. As soon as I can feel that the car is kind of starting to rotate, that's when you'll see me getting on the throttle and you get these little jumps and these arcs, and that's just me keeping the back end alive, if that makes sense, and keeping that slip going. That way I can maximize that rotation coming through the corner. You can run it out pretty far here on exit and then work it all the way back over to the right. Full throttle through here. You can use this curb, but I found it pushes you out to the right a little bit. I hit a bit of it there, which isn't ideal, but it didn't kill me. The goal is to keep the car as far to the left as you can over here. Sometimes getting on this curb can help push you in, but I found the way I've been braking into these corners, it just unsettles the car, so you'll see that I avoid it. And this is another one where you just kind of coax the car through. You can see I'm opening up the turn, the steering, and I'm turning left, but we're going right. It's one of those slip angle corners. You can get on the brakes and start that rotation, and the car is spinning to the right. And it's the quickest way around some of these corners, just because if you slow down, you don't get enough room to accelerate to make up that speed. The name of the game is momentum and trying to carry as much speed into the corners and through the corners as you can. Coming up near the end of the lap here, I usually start braking at the beginning of this curbing on the left-hand side. Hard on the brakes, down to second. You can chop a decent amount of this apex. I usually aim to get my right side tires about in line with the right side edge of this concrete here. I found that usually works pretty well, and it helps the car kind of pivot around that right-hander, getting it cocked up on the curb. As soon as we're coming down off of it though, we're on the throttle, using as much of this runoff as we can. We work the car back over to the right-hand side of the road up to fourth. Just for show, really, because we're immediately back down to third. Trail braking. And this is one I found keeping the car tight through this left-hander has worked well for me. Again, it's kind of car dependent on how your car takes these exits, because it's important to be able to carry the momentum through, but carrying it through to a point to where you can power on as early as possible. So that's what you want to set your lineup for. You can use a lot of pit entry here on the exit of turn 13. You can see I open up the steering again. The car is getting really loose at this point. But you can look at my tire temps. I'm not really overheating anything at this. We're sliding the car a lot, but we're not hard angle sliding it, and so it's not putting a whole bunch of heat into the tires. This corner, you want to work your way through. It's uphill. It's kind of deceiving. It doesn't look that uphill, but it is. Similar to the final corner at the Nürburgring GP track. Me and Josh Higgy were talking about that. This is just like a big open version of it. It's a lot wider, but it's the same concept. You want to carry as much speed and momentum as you can through here, and you're looking for your point where you can start giving it more power. And really committing to your run down the front straightaway, because this is the only real straightaway that we get on this track. You can use a decent amount of this runoff area here. I found my right side tires can run all the way towards the edge of this curbing, without getting an off track, but you still need to be careful. Um, Especially come qualifying, you don't want to pick up an off track right near the end of the lap. And then we're across the line. So like I said, this is a really fun track in these GT3 cars. It is a momentum, slip angle, trail braking style circuit. It really harks on the older style racing, early days of Formula One before they had downforce, or any kind of series that runs, low grip cars with minimal downforce. The MX-5s, the open wheel series like the Rays and the Vs, where you have to toss the car into the corner and let it slide and do its thing. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully this lap guide helps you guys out. Hopefully you can find some time around here, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.